Hello and welcome to the channel. Today, we turn our focus to two names that once dominated headlines, inspired countless fan edits, and left a lasting imprint on Turkish drama history, Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu. Though time has passed since they shared the screen, and even more since their names were paired romantically, a new development has brought them back into the spotlight, one that has left both the media and fans in awe. The icons of Karanlık Aşk. Few couples in Turkish television have achieved the kind of magic that Barış and Elçin did with their performances in Karanlık Aşk. The chemistry between them was so compelling, many believed it transcended fiction. Audiences were enamored not only with the characters they portrayed but also with the visible ease and trust they had with one another off-camera. The series gave both actors a massive boost in their careers and turned their names into household fixtures. With their on-screen dynamic turning into real-life rumors, the press followed their every step. However, they remained tight-lipped about the nature of their personal bond. Despite endless speculation, neither ever confirmed nor denied what might have blossomed between them away from the set. A separation that silenced the fans. Eventually, the rumors of romance faded, replaced by whispers of a quiet separation. Unlike many celebrity breakups, there were no public statements, no Instagram declarations, just silence. That silence was perhaps what made the news of their emotional distance even more palpable. Fans were heartbroken. What had felt like a fairy tale was now just a closed chapter. In the years following their split, both stars chose different paths. Elçin Sangu embraced more challenging roles in darker, more complex dramas. Barış Arduç took on action and historical projects that showed his range and versatility. Though their careers flourished individually, for many fans, something remained unfinished. An unexpected farewell. Just when the entertainment world had resigned itself to the idea that Barış and Elçin would never cross paths again, something extraordinary happened. According to inside sources, the two recently arranged a private meeting, a final farewell. Not a reunion in the traditional sense, but a quiet closure between two people who once meant so much to each other. The meeting, which reportedly took place in a quiet seaside town, was described as deeply emotional and filled with mutual respect. Witnesses say there were no tears, only smiles, soft-spoken words, and a sense of mutual gratitude. They weren't trying to reignite a flame, they were honoring a shared history. Reflections on what was and what might never be again. This farewell meeting left many wondering about the nature of closure. For two people who spent years avoiding headlines about their personal lives, this final meeting seemed like their way of rewriting the narrative, not as former lovers, but as co-creators of something beautiful and now complete. Sources close to both parties suggest that this encounter was not about reconciliation, but recognition. Elçin reportedly told friends, "Some people come into your life to show you who you are, and then they leave. But the lesson, the reflection, stays." Barış echoed similar sentiments in a recent interview when he said, "Sometimes, the most important chapters in our lives are the ones we close without bitterness." The echoes that remain. Even as Barış and Elçin go their separate ways, the echoes of their shared journey continue to ripple across screens, hearts, and memories. Their story is no longer just about a series, or about the characters that brought them together. It's about timing, transformation, and the silent truths we carry with us. Fans have often asked, what if they had met at a different time? That question, simple as it may seem, holds a world of weight. Timing, after all, is the invisible hand that shapes so much of what we feel and what we lose. In Barış and Elçin's case, perhaps they met at exactly the right moment to change each other, but not to stay. Private moments in a public world. In an era where every glance, every word, and every silence is dissected online, their choice to keep their connection private was both rare and brave. They resisted the urge to feed the media machine. No posts, no statements, no follow-and-follow drama. Just respect. Just quiet. And maybe that's why their story continues to resonate. It was never about publicity. It was personal. This approach to privacy gave their story something sacred. In a world where content is currency, they chose to protect what they had. And in doing so, they protected the audience's belief in something pure. Because not everything beautiful has to be explained. Not everything real has to be proved. Art imitating life, and life reflecting art. What made their on-screen dynamic so compelling was its undeniable realism. When they looked at each other, it wasn't just acting, it was understanding. When they argued or laughed in scenes, it wasn't simply scripted, it was infused with something personal, something lived. And that energy transferred. It lingered. In some ways, their story helped reshape Turkish romantic dramas. No longer were audiences satisfied with shallow storylines and forced chemistry. Barış and Elçin raised the bar, and left others chasing what they so effortlessly embodied. A love that taught, not lasted. And perhaps that's the greatest takeaway from their journey: not every love is meant to last, but every true love teaches. What they gave each other can't be measured by longevity, but by depth. By how they grew, how they challenged, and how they ultimately let go, not out of resentment, but out of reverence. Elçin found strength. Barış found clarity. They both found new creative paths. And while they may never cross again as partners, the emotional imprint remains. Not all love stories end in forever. Some end in understanding. And that can be just as beautiful. A chapter that changed the industry. It's not an exaggeration to say that their time together altered the course of Turkish television. Producers began looking for more authenticity. Writers dared to explore emotional nuance. Actors studied the sincerity that Barış and Elçin brought to each scene. Their standard became a compass, and their silence a lesson. In interviews years later, younger actors often cite Karalık Aşk as inspiration, not just for the story, but for the energy that radiated from it. An energy born not of performance, but of connection. It's a legacy that lives beyond ratings, beyond reruns. It lives in the art that followed. What comes next? So what now? Elçin Sangu, as passionate and fearless as ever, continues to redefine what it means to be a leading woman in a competitive industry. Her upcoming role is said to challenge international norms and explore themes she's never tackled before. She is no longer just a romantic lead, she is a creative force, unbound by expectation. Barış Arduç, on the other hand, dives deeper into character work, blending history with heart. His recent interviews hint at a philosophical shift. He speaks more about legacy, less about fame. He's looking not just to entertain, but to create impact. He's building something timeless. Their futures may be separate, but their foundations were shared. And for those who still remember their story with fondness, that is more than enough. Final thoughts. In a world obsessed with closure and definitive answers, sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones left open-ended. Perhaps this final meeting between Barış and Elçin was not a goodbye, but a quiet thank you, a moment of peace after years of speculation. As fans, we can find beauty not only in beginnings but in endings handled with grace. Theirs is a story that reminds us of the transient nature of connection and the lasting impact it can leave. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this reflection, please like and subscribe for more insights into the emotional lives behind the headlines. Until next time, take care and keep believing in stories, both the ones we tell and the ones we live.